When 45,000 screaming fans pack into Lincoln Financial Field under the bright lights of an open summer practice, they expect perfection. Instead, they watch their franchise quarterback get picked off twice, bringing his staggering summer turnover total to 13. But behind those ugly practice numbers lies a massive hidden advantage that could completely blow the NFC East wide open on opening weekend. If you bleed green and want the unfiltered truth all season long, hit like, share this video, and subscribe to join the family right now. Think about the sheer intensity of South Philadelphia for a second. There's truly no fan base in professional sports that shows up 45,000 strong just to watch their team run practice drills in August. The passion is intoxicating, the energy is electric, and the expectations are completely through the roof. But that incredible passion cuts both ways because the pressure cooker in this city never stops boiling. When the offense clicks, it looks like a masterpiece. When a pass hangs in the air and lands in the wrong hands, panic spreads like wildfire across the entire Delaware Valley. That panic reached a boiling point during the team's marquee open session. Everyone is tracking every single drop back, every incompletion, and every forced throw. When Jalen Hurts fired 2 more interceptions during that night session, the camp tally officially hit 13. To put that in perspective, this is a quarterback who threw just 11 total interceptions across the entire last 2 regular seasons combined, posting incredible marks of just 6 and 5 picks. In fact, over his last 3 training camps put together, he barely reached 13 turnovers total. Seeing that number spike so dramatically in a single summer naturally triggers every alarm bell in a fan's mind. How can a quarterback who built his entire reputation on elite ball security and protecting the football suddenly look so careless in practice? To understand what is actually happening, you have to look past the surface panic and look at the chess match unfolding behind the scenes. This is not the same vanilla system of years past. New offensive coordinator Sean Mannion is completely overhauling the scheme, bringing in foundational concepts learned under offensive minds like Kevin O'Connell. In this offense, the quarterback is being asked to attack the middle of the field, process crowded windows, and push the envelope in ways he simply has never been asked to do before. Practice is not designed for a veteran quarterback to play it safe and pad meaningless August stats. It is the one laboratory where you're supposed to test the outer boundaries of your arm and your playbook. When you're trying to figure out what you can get away with on a critical 3rd and 8 against live NFL coverage, you have to risk failure. If you do not push the ball into tight windows during August, you will never have the confidence to pull the trigger in December and January. When you look at the film from these practices, the potential of this offensive scheme jumps off the screen. Mannion has been putting on an absolute clinic with his play design, particularly with wheel routes out of the backfield. We saw it against New England when Will Shipley took a blitz-beating wheel route over 50 yards for a score. We saw Carson Steele execute a magnificent wheel route with a hurdle. And under the stadium lights, Hurts stood tall in the pocket against Zach Bond, one of the premier coverage linebackers in football, and dropped a picture-perfect teardrop right into the bucket for a diving Saquon Barkley touchdown. On that exact same play, rookie slot receiver Mekhi Lemon was running wide open across the middle of the field because of the route distribution. Later in the session, the offense dialed up a brilliant mesh concept that created 5 yards of separation for Hollywood Brown on a deep crosser, leading to an effortless walk-in touchdown. Even when Tariq Woolen made an unbelievable break to jump an out route intended for Devonta Smith for a pick-6, Hurts was testing timing against an elite, long-limbed corner who was sitting on the route. These are the growing pains of a high-powered offense learning to be aggressive. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture because this is where the conversation gets truly fascinating. Here is our official question of the day. With 13 interceptions already on the board in camp, are you genuinely worried that Jalen Hurts is going to turn the ball over at a dangerous rate this year? Or do you believe this aggressive testing will unlock the most explosive offense we have ever seen in Philadelphia? Drop your thoughts in the comments below right now. While the offense is working through its natural growing pains, the real headline heading into Week 1 is what is happening down in the DMV. The stage is set for a massive divisional showdown as the Eagles host the Washington Commanders to kick off the regular season at the Link. It marks the first time in several years that Philadelphia opens the year at home, and the opponent on the other sideline is walking straight into a buzzsaw. Washington entered this offseason riding high off the memory of their shocking run to the NFC Championship game 2 years ago, where Jaden Daniels put together one of the most electric rookie quarterback seasons in NFL history. They pulled off stunning playoff upsets over Tampa Bay and the top-seeded Detroit Lions, looking like the future powerhouse of the division. But the NFL moves fast, and the foundation under Washington has rapidly deteriorated. Daniels missed the vast majority of last season battling multiple injuries, raising serious questions about how his slender frame will hold up against violent NFL pass rushes. Terry McLaurin has missed time, the ground game has been inconsistent, and the defense under Dan Quinn has struggled to find its identity. But the most catastrophic development happened during Washington's recent joint practices against the Baltimore Ravens. Respected team insiders on the ground described the session in brutal terms, calling it the worst offensive performance seen from the franchise in years. The offensive line was labeled completely inoperable. Washington suffered a massive blow up front when star tackle Laramie Tunsil went down for the season with a torn triceps shortly after signing a massive $30 million deal. To patch the bleeding, they rushed to sign veteran tackle DJ Humphries, who has played just 10 games over the last 3 seasons. Across their offensive line, from Chris Paul and Nick Allegretti to Sam Cosmi and Josh Connerly, the depth is virtually non-existent. While they brought in dynamic tight end Chig Okonkwo from Tennessee, he is purely a pass-catching weapon who offers very little support in pass protection. To make matters even more complicated, Washington is running a brand-new offense under first-time play caller David Blau, who is trying to implement a system behind a crumbling offensive line. Now, imagine that vulnerable, reshuffled offensive line having to line up at Lincoln Financial Field against Vic Fangio's terrifying defensive front. The Eagles' defense is widely projected to be a top 3 unit in the entire league, and their defensive line looks completely unstoppable. You have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis creating absolute havoc in the interior, flanked by a relentless pass-rushing rotation featuring Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, Arnold Ebiketie, and A.J. Epineza. Behind them sits a fast, physical linebacking core and a cornerback trio that rivals anything in the NFL. When that defensive front went up against New England in joint practices, they generated constant pressure, blowing up plays before they even had a chance to develop. When you connect the dots, Week 1 is setting up to be the ultimate early season advantage for Philadelphia. The offense does not have to be an explosive, finished product on day 1. They do not need Jalen Hurts to throw for 400 yards or take unnecessary chances while mastering Sean Mannion's new scheme. They have the luxury of leaning heavily on a dominant, smothering defense that can completely dismantle Washington's wounded offensive front and protect the football. The road through the NFC East is never easy. The Dallas Cowboys still boast a dangerous offensive attack. The New York Giants are improving with sharper coaching, and Washington has a superstar talent in Jaden Daniels who can create magic out of thin air when healthy. But games are won and lost in the trenches, and a mismatch on the line of scrimmage in Week 1 is staggering. Every summer storyline gets magnified in Philadelphia. The training camp interceptions will continue to dominate the headlines. The critics will question every errant throw, and the pressure on Jalen Hurts will remain as intense as ever. But while the outside world obsesses over practice mistakes, the pieces are quietly aligning for this team to assert its dominance right out of the gate. When that opening whistle blows and the defense takes the field, all the August panic is going to look very distant.